Hi everyone, welcome back. So good morning everyone, and very warm welcome to everyone. So today we are happy to see you here. In this webinar, we will go step by step. First, we will cover clinical research, and then we will move further with pharmacovigilance. And today we have very experienced mentor with us. They belong from the industry, one of from clinical industry and one of from pharmacovigilance industry. So let's start with our first and very important domain, which is basically clinical research. So like for the clinical research, Sukriti ma'am will take further for this session, and then Monica ma'am is there, who will take the pharmacovigilance sessions. So I'm just sharing my screen for the clinical research PPT. Then Sukriti ma'am will continue with the clinical research PPT.
Tushar, so for introducing me.
Yes. Over to you, Sukriti ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I would also like to welcome all of you guys. A very warm good morning. And today we are going to start with this journey, and we are going to take you all guys through a journey of medicine, which is like from lab to the shelves, and understand the important role that clinical research play in this journey. So let's get started with that. So, as the title says, from lab to life. So, this slide is about understanding the journey of a medicine. So, basically, what exactly we are going to look into this webinar. So, we are going to see the journey of medicine, how it is being researched, what are the stages of research it goes on, and how it finally reaches the patient. And we will also understand why clinical research is important and how clinical research standards have developed over time. Like, were they so much firm previously also, or like over time, some rules and regulations have been developed, and slowly, people have adapted to it. So this is what we are going to see. Uh, so Shahar sir, it would be great if you could help me from moving to the slides. Can we move to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am. Just a minute. I'm just moving to the next slide.
Okay. So, like when we when we think about medicine, when we see it as a medicine, so जो सबसे पहली चीज जो हमारे दिमाग में आती है, that is कि is it safe or not? So that is the main problem. So first we'll look at the problem. Can we really trust every medicine available to us or not? So we don't always know what is behind every product we take, because now people are very aware that they have to read all the precautions, all the cautions. But previously people were not that much aware, and that there were a lack of many things, like internet was not properly there, and knowledge was also very less, so people used to trust everything they get. But now everyone has their own sense, and everybody know and everybody see, and try to target that can we trust the medicine which we are getting or not. So this is why proper testing and clinical research are very important to make sure that the medicines are safe and effective before they reach the patient. Can you move to the next slide? Okay. So the risk of untested medicine. So what happens if a medicine is not properly tested for its safety and effectiveness? So it can have very much serious consequences. So it may cause any toxic reaction due to harmful ingredients. And that would be like, हमें नहीं पता कि वो medicine लेने के बाद में how our body is going to react. But if there would be a proper results which we are getting on internet, or like we are doing some research or study, और हमें पता चल रहा है कि okay, if we take this medicine, these are the risks, but they are minimal. Like it's okay. Like सिर्फ headache होगा, but everything is other than that, everything is fine. So we can take. So for that reason, so this information, how do we get? That we get through clinical research only. Then comes the patient fatalities. So in severe cases, it can also lead to loss of life. So that could be the risk of untested medicines sometimes. And sometimes the damage may not be immediate. That is called as long-term problems. or it can also result in organ damage or such temporary or permanent harm to the body that may only be discovered much later. So this is why a very rigorous and prominent testing and clinical testing is required. And this is the reason why clinical research is so important before a medicine reaches a patient. Because if it's not been tested, these are the risks a patient can have. Can you move to the next slide? So, how do we make sure that medicines are safe and effective? So, this is where clinical trials come in. So, clinical trials are like a systematic and a step-by-step process. So, it's not like you have got some compound which you feel, okay, this will work for that disease, and you are directly making a tablet or any of the it in a drug format, and you are giving it to the patient. It's not like that. It follows very much step by step processes where a medicine is carefully tested first in labs, then in animals, and then in humans. And they help us understand whether the medicine is safe and whether it work as expected, like जैसा हमने सोचा था वैसे काम करेगी वो दवाई या नहीं. For that reason, there are various steps that we have to follow and what possible side effects it may have before it becomes available to the public. So that is also a very important point, that if we are not doing a clinical trial, we'll never come to know how much efficient the drug is, and we will also not come to know how much toxicity or the harm that medicine is going to cause. So that is why clinical trial is very important. Can you move to the next slide? Okay. So if we are talking about step by step. Thank you, Anshul. Okay, so if we are talking about step by step.
Can you
Mr.
please
Anshul,
unmute yourself?
can you please mute yourself?
क्लिनिकल रेगुलेटरी और
Okay, thank you, Tushar sir. Okay, so in the previous slide, we had a word like it is a step-by-step process. So if it is a step-by-step process, so now in this slide, we are going to see what are the key four stages we look into the clinical trial. So first is discovery. So discovery is like when you're understanding some disease or something is there, and you are trying to find out the potential candidate or potential compound which can work against that disease. So in the first step, there is just the discovery of the potential candidate, and that is done through laboratory research, through whatever the literature is there from the previous trials, or jo bhi data milta hai, from that we discover, okay, this is the compound we are going to test for this disease. Then the next step is preclinical. So preclinical is something which is done before the clinical trials. Clinical itself means in humans. Okay, jahan par bhi human involvement hai, there we will term it as clinical. So preclinical means which is done before the compound or whatever the potential drug we have identified that is being tested on humans. So before that, we do something which is called as preclinical. That is done in the labs on animals, on microorganism, and on a smaller level. So it's like a preclinical mein we do not take any human involvement. We test them on cells and animals to evaluate their safety, फिर उसकी क्या biological activity, how it is actually going to work, and everything we do on animals and on cells. So that stage is called as preclinical trial. Once we get the data and the results are promising, and we see, okay, ये चीज ज्यादा harmful नहीं है, but it is showing beneficial effects, then we take the drug into the clinical trial where it is being tested on humans. And there also, it's not just कि एक ही step में we are testing it on humans and directly it goes to the final stage and it is being sent into the market. No, in clinical trial also there are different phases or stages we can say, and every phase and every stage confirms different thing like safety, effectiveness, and everything. And once everything is fine in clinical trials, then finally all the data are submitted to the regulatory authorities. Regulatory authorities, we can understand like a government body, जो आपके सारे results को they will see, they will identify, they'll evaluate, and if everything is fine, they will give approval. And once approved, the drug can be marketed and it is made available to patients. Like जब तक आपको regulatory approval नहीं मिलेगा, you cannot market that drug and आप उसको बेच नहीं सकते. You cannot give it to patient commercially. So these are the steps we follow for the clinical trials. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, so just now we were talking about that in clinical trials, there are phases and steps or stages, you can say. So the clinical trial itself is being divided into 4 phases, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in like if we are moving to phase 1, so this is the first time the drug is tested in humans. There is also phase 0, but that is non-mandatory phase. That's why we do not study that much rigorously. But it's like phase 1, we consider that this is the first time the drug is being tested in humans. And it usually involves 20 to 100 healthy volunteers. So, of course, in phase 1, we are just trying, like the primary focus of the phase 1 is to check the safety, whether our drug is safe or not. So, that's why we take 20 to 100 healthy volunteers. Why? Because if we are taking patients and we are checking our drug into them, they will be having some side effects. So already they are suffering. We do not want them to suffer more. And what happens? Patient ki already halat kharab and you are giving them our medicine. Maybe that can react and एक अलग result दे सकती है. Which is why like we will get confused कि okay like ये जो side effect है और the effectiveness है, this is because of our drug और उनकी खुद की problem से, because the person is already diseased. So to make sure we are not getting false result or we are not getting any what do we say, like we are not getting false result and we are not manipulated with the situation, we take 20 to 100 healthy volunteers. So पहले जो medicine है वो 20 to 100 volunteers में ही test होती है. And out of which we can say 70% drugs successfully move past this phase, because of course they are healthy volunteers. We have to just check the safety, because if it's working or not, that is secondary thing. But first thing is drug should be safe. It should not have any side effect. And then the primary focus, as we discussed, in phase 1, we just check for safety. We just check that how the body is evaluating the drug. क्या वो medicine लेने के बाद में healthy volunteers maybe is there any side effects or not? For of course, like if in healthy volunteers there would be side effects, we cannot give it to the patients क्योंकि उनमें तो होंगे ही होंगे. So we identify the side effects, any toxic effects, and we determine a safe range. Like of course, agar 100 mg toxic hai, so can we take 80 mg or 90 mg? So like that in phase 1, we determine ki whether our drug is safe or not, and we also determine ki kaun si dose आगे चल के patients को देनी. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Okay. So in phase 2, phase 2 focuses on whether the drug actually works in patient with the target disease or not. So this involves 300 to 1000 patients with a specific condition the drug aims to treat. Why do you think like we have switched, like if anybody would like to voluntarily answer, like in phase 1 we have chosen healthy volunteers. So why not in phase 2 we are choosing healthy volunteers? If anybody would like to volunteer. Why are we considering patients in phase 2 if we have considered healthy volunteers in phase 1? Okay. So इसका आंसर है in the primary goal. Okay. पहले stage या phase 1 का goal was to look at the safety. So that we cannot test it in patient, that our drug is safe or not. But for phase 2, our primary goal is to check the efficacy. Efficacy means to check whether our drug is working or not. So अगर हम healthy volunteers में अगर हमारा drug देते हैं, they are not having any problem. सो वो ठीक ही क्या करेगी, हमारी ड्रग ठीक क्या करेगी जब उन्हें कोई प्रॉब्लम है. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव टू टेक समवन हु इज हैविंग दैट प्रॉब्लम, जिसके लिए हम ड्रग बना रहे हैं, एंड देन वी गिव इट टू those individuals and we consider them as patients, and the number has also increased from 300 to 1000, and we check that our drug is working for that disease or not. But uh, we also check for safety as well. ऐसा नहीं है कि phase 1 में हमने safety check की, then we will not check for safety in phase 2. That would not be the situation. Phase 1 में we were just checking safety. Phase 2 में we have to see how efficiently that drug is working for that disease. That's why we are taking patients, and our primary goal is to evaluate the drug effectiveness, and we will also continue to monitor its safety also and some short-term side effects. So this phase runs for about 2 to 5 years, less than 10 years, we can say. And in that schedule, we look any of the short-term side effects, etc. And if the results are positive, then only the drug moves to phase 3. Okay, can we move to the next slide? So in phase 1, we have checked, okay, ki our drug is safe or not. In phase 2, we have seen our drug is working as well as it's safe or not. So in phase 3, now in phase 3, the question is, and we can say phase 3 is the largest and the most critical phase of clinical trial, because the result from this phase are used to grant or seek the regulatory approval. Like, इसी basis पे decide होता है whether your drug is going to move forward in the market or not. So it involves thousands of participants, often across multiple hospitals and countries. So it's like, yes, नहीं होता कि phase 3 you are just having in India in a hospital, so it would be just limited to that place. No, एक ही time पे एक ही phase 3 या एक ही trial multiple states, multiple countries, multiple hospitals में भी होते हैं. So for that reason, because of course we require 3000 plus participants, and in this also we take patients. So for taking 3000 plus participants, it's very difficult to find all of them at a place. So it can be done globally or at multiple places. So it involves thousands of participants, so that we are clear. So this is very important because you can see the second point, comparison against the current standard of care or placebo. So it's like, it is also called as gold standard. So जो हमने ड्रग बनाया है, जो हमने phase 1 phase 2 में उसको चेक किया for safety, for effectiveness, now in phase 3 we are going to do a comparison with a gold standard. So gold standard is something which is already highly acceptable in the market. For example, आपको पता है कि अगर आपको fever है तो you will directly go to the chemist and you will take a medicine. आपको पता है कि आप कॉम्बीफ्लेम ले सकते हो, आप डोलो ले सकते हो, आप क्रोसिन ले सकते हो. ये सारी जो मेडिसिन है that are highly acceptable in the market, and लोग इस चीज को पहचानते हैं and they trust these medicine. तो अगर आप भी एक फीवर के लिए यू आर लॉन्चिंग अ मेडिसिन, देन इट्स योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू टेल पीपल दैट ओके वी आर लॉन्चिंग समथिंग बट इट इज बेटर देन व्हाट इज ऑलरेडी देयर इन द मार्केट. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एज कंपैरिजन विद द गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड. अदरवाइज व्हाई पीपल वुड टेक योर मेडिसिन if they are already having good medicines in market? So there should be something you are doing good. That could be in case of money also, like your medicine is inexpensive as compared to the other gold standard which are available in the market. You can tell less side effects, you can tell high effectiveness. So there should be something which is good in your medicine as compared to the gold standard. Then in the end, like after we compare it and we find okay our medicine is good, is better than what is available in the market, then verification of overall risk benefit ratio for a general population. So till now we were doing it in patients. So we are not aware that okay if our medicine is taken by a normal person who's not having that disease or not suffering from that disease, तो उसके ऊपर क्या रिस्क हो सकते हैं, क्या उसको कितना हार्मफुल हो सकता है उसके लिए. सो दैट एंड ऑल्सो स्टडीज डन इन phase 3. सो दैट अगर आपकी मेडिसिन बाहर जाती है एंड उस पे जैसे यू कैन सी ऑन मोस्ट ऑफ द मेडिसिन देयर इज कॉशन रिटन कि इट्स नॉट फॉर लैक्टेटिंग वुमेन, इट्स नॉट फॉर प्रेग्नेंट वुमेन. सो ये सारी चीजें, या फिर कीप अवे फ्रॉम चिल्ड्रंस, तो ये चीजें कैसे पता चली कि दीज पीपल कैन नॉट टेक दीज मेडिसिन. So it's like you do a study, even though आपकी स्टडी उस चीज पे फोकस नहीं है, but still you do a little लिटिल स्टडी कि क्या हम ये मेडिसिन अगर इनको देंगे, बाय चांस अगर दो मेडिसिन कोई गलती से खा लेता है तो कितना हार्म होगा। एंड जो हम बोलते हैं कि यू हैव जस्ट 24 hours लेफ्ट, आपको इसे ट्रीट करना पड़ेगा। सो ऑल दोज थिंग्स आर बीइंग डिस्कवर्ड ड्यूरिंग phase 3 ओनली, बिकॉज वी वेरीफाई द ओवरऑल रिस्क एंड बेनिफिट रेशियो, लाइक कितना रिस्क है और इससे बेनिफिट कितना है, एवरीथिंग वी स्टडी एंड देन वी गिव ऑल द डेटा to our regulatory authorities. Can anybody tell me what were the regulatory authorities we discussed? Perfect. Thank you, Shubham. Okay, FDA is like for overall, it's a US based regulatory authority, and for India, it's CITESCO. So we transfer our data or we submit our data to FDA or CITESCO for approval as per our need. And if everything is fine, the regulatory authority give us the approval, and then we move to the next phase, which is phase 4. Can we move to the next slide? Okay. So phase 4 begins after the drug has been approved and is available in the market. So so we cannot say that phase 4 is completed in a closed control environment or in a hospital or in labs. It's not like that. It's like आपकी medicine market में है. लेकिन okay, there is one very genuine question for me. Like आपने टेस्ट कर लिया आपकी मेडिसिन, इतने सारे पेशेंट्स पे आपने टेस्ट कर लिया एंड आपको पता चल गया इट इज डूइंग गुड, इट इज सर्विंग वट एवर यू वांटेड टू। तो अब जब मेडिसिन मार्केट में है तो आपको उस पर नजर रखने की जरूरत क्यों है? व्हाट कुड व्हाई डू यू फील दिस पॉइंट इज ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट दैट आफ्टर कमिंग इट after the medicine comes into the market, still we keep an eye on that medicine for at least 4 years to 5 years. Like it's like 4 to 5 years बहुत ही ज्यादा ध्यान से उस पर ध्यान रखा जाता है, उसके बाद में भी ध्यान रखा जाता है, बट 4 to 5 years it's very important that we track every detail of that drug. Why do you think it's important? जब हमें पता चल गया it was positive.
Sometimes drug takes a long time to show its side effects. So I
Okay.
think that's why.
Okay. So you are telling that sometimes the medicine shows its side effect later on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, Kritika.
To detect the rare side effects.
Okay, which were not being studied during the trials. Okay.
Yes, which is
Okay.
not detected in phase 3.
Okay. And
Phase
okay.
3, then
And what if you guys find some side effect which were not detected in phase 3 and they are severe? So what do you think should be the next step?
In
Like,
that case,
the
drug
side
should
effects
be
were reported.
withdrawn from market.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, Rajneesh.
I think the drug should be withdrawn from the market. If
Yeah.
the side effect is severe, then
Yeah.
it can be withdrawn from the market.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, Kritika, you were also saying something?
The side effects were reported, then the side effects were assessed. Then regulatory authorities will decide the drug will withdrawn or not.
Yeah, perfect. So both of you answered it very perfectly. Like, of course, अगर आपको कोई side effect दिख रहे हैं जो harmful है, then all the data are being submitted to regulatory authorities and they see and they study, okay, क्या ये drug market में रहने लायक है या नहीं, and if they feel it is not compatible to stay in the market, that drug is being withdrawn off from the market and फिर उसको नहीं आप आगे sell नहीं कर सकते। स्टिल इफ यू हैव सम चेंजेस कि आप जैसे कोई माइनर चेंजेस हैं एंड वो करके आप वो ड्रग को बेटर कर सकते हो, तो आप उसको फिर से ट्रायल रन करके, अगर बहुत छोटा सा माइनर डिफेक्ट है, सो यू कैन टेक द परमिशन फ्रॉम अथॉरिटीज एंड यू कैन स्किप द phase 1 एंड यू कैन डायरेक्टली स्टार्ट फ्रॉम phase 2, और लाइक बहुत ही कम है, सो दैट कैन बी डन एंड बहुत ही कम है, तो फिर दैट एंड ऑल कैन बी डन अकॉर्डिंग टू द रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज। वो जैसे बोलेंगे उस हिसाब से यू कैन रीमेक द ड्रग एंड यू कैन पास इट फॉरवर्ड। ओके, So yeah, in phase 4, we just look at how the drug performed in the real world, and now the number of patients, like, we cannot count. There are over millions of patients, and we see the long-term side effects, long-term effects, and everything, and how the drug performs in specific population, and all these things are studied in phase 4. Okay. Can we move to the next slide? Okay. So we were also talking in our first slide itself, we were talking that we directly cannot skip everything, or why these clinical trials and all the rules and regulation, all the regulatory authorities came into picture. So there would be some history behind it. So for that, we can say there is the evolution of drug safety, and these are the key milestones which have played a part in giving us the rules and regulation which we are following today. So first is in 1937, the elixir sulfonamide tragedy, which led over 200 deaths. And because of that, there were strict drug safety laws which were came into US. And it was said that FD&C Act was being forwarded in 1938. Then something in Nuremberg, Germany came into picture in 1947. The Nuremberg Code established some ethical principle for human research after World War II, when all the Nazis doctors were treating the prisoners, or whatever the people they were getting, they were treating them as scapegoats. After that, there were set of ethical principles or rules that were published कि सबको ये मानने पड़ेंगे, and you cannot do unethical study on human beings. Then in 1964, the Declaration of Helsinki that strengthened the ethical guidelines for research which involve human participants. That was done because of the thalidomide tragedy. And then finally, in 1996, the ICH GCP guidelines created a global standards for conducting safe and ethical clinical trials. So, like, because of all these situations and all these milestones, the government, or we can say everybody, thought that there should be some unified international guidelines, and they needs to be followed by everyone, not just at a place or at a country. So after that, in 1996, ICH GCP guidelines were established, and they were made compulsory for everybody to follow. And these milestones are the reason clinical trials today are very strictly regulated. They are ethical, and they focus on protecting the patient safety first. Can we move to the next slide? Okay. A world without unified standards. So this is like कि अगर पूरा world एक same rules, set of rules अगर follow नहीं कर रहा है, then what would be the situation? So before the International Council of Harmonization, which is like ICH, every country had its own clinical trial regulation. Every country was following their own trials की regulation कि okay, हम ये rule follow करेंगे, हम ये rule follow करेंगे. कोई किसी के rules मानता नहीं था, but which was valid. Like हर country अपने rules अलग बना रही. So this meant pharmaceutical companies had to repeat similar studies to meet different national requirements. So for example, there is one medicine which is made in India, and that needs to be sold in US, but US will say, okay, ये तो आपके rules के हिसाब से बनी है, हमारे rule के हिसाब से trial नहीं हुआ, then we have to do the trials again. So this was very expensive and time consuming. So different countries, different tests, and बहुत ज़्यादा delay होता था. So this was the first thing. Then there was data inconsistency. So as a result, data generated in one country was often not accepted in other, leading to duplication of work, waste of resources, and patient had to wait for a lot of time. And data inconsistency means like research from one region was often rejected by another. So it was like कि नहीं, हम ये डेटा नहीं मानेंगे, ये आपके यहाँ पे हुआ है, ये आपके रूल्स फॉलो है, हमारे रूल्स फॉलो नहीं हुए. So resource were wasted, money was wasted, patients were made to wait for a longer time. Like the third point which says delayed access, the patient had to wait for years for local approval of globally tested drugs. So which becomes a very big problem. So So this highlighted that the need for a common global standard was very important, and which eventually led to the formation of ICH. So because of these reasons only, the people thought, okay, हम एक common set of rules बनाएंगे ताकि ये सारी चीजें हम avoid कर सकें. Can you move to the next slide? What exactly the ICH framework does, and what is the mission, we can say. First is safety, efficacy, and quality. So we can say these are the key pillars like safety, efficacy, and quality. So safety ensure that the drug is tested thoroughly to identify any of the toxic or harmful effect before reaching it to the shelves or before reaching it to for public patients which they can use. Efficacy confirms that the drug actually works and provides, like, is it actually working the way we required or not? And it should have some benefit for the patient. So that is what ICH gives rules for checking this efficacy. And then the quality. So quality ensures every batch of drug is manufactured consistently. It shouldn't be like कि ठीक है आपका ड्रग अच्छा काम कर रहा है लेकिन पहले वाले ड्रग में कुछ कम है, आप नेक्स्ट वाले बैच के ड्रग में कुछ ज्यादा है. So this should not be done. So for that also ICH gives rules and regulation that you have to follow, so the quality of the drug is being maintained with the same manufacturing process and with same purity and strength. So together these three pillars ensure the medicines are safe, effective, and of high quality regardless of where they are developed or marketed. कहीं पर भी वो बनेगी, कहीं पर भी उसको हम बेचेंगे, they should follow same rules and regulation, and it should have same type of quality. So that's why ICH rules were made, so that can be followed throughout. Can we move to the next slide? Okay. So why ICH knowledge is essential? So now we have understood the ICH framework. Now we will discuss why this knowledge is so important for us as a future clinical research professional. So this gives the job readiness. So whether you work in clinical trial management or clinical research, pharmacovigilance, or anything, the knowledge of ICH GCP is a basic requirement and is often asked about in interviews. So you cannot skip the knowledge of ICH GCP. Then the global standards. So ICH GCP serve as a common international guideline, allowing clinical trial data to be accepted across multiple countries. And so this gives an upper hand to us to enable global drug development. So we can say that the point itself says that ICH GCP is the universal language spoken by clinical research everywhere. So it's like आप यहाँ बनाओ medicine या कहीं और बनाओ. If you are not having the knowledge about ICH GCP, the thing will not be favorable in your. So this is very important that you have the knowledge of ICH GCP. Then patient protection. So patient protection, so like most importantly, these guidelines, जो भी guidelines हैं ICH GCP में, they understand and they ensure that every clinical trial is conducted very ethically, and जो patient का protection है, that is like kept at top priority. Like आप कुछ भी research करो, आप कितना भी अच्छा drug बनाओ, if your patient is not safe or the patient is suffering a lot from the side effects, then that drug would not be coming into the market. And ये सारी guidelines भी through ICH ही दी गई. So understanding ICH is just about is not just about passing an exam. It's about becoming a competent clinical research professional who can contribute to safe, ethical, and globally accepted clinical trials. So for that, ICH GCP is very important. Can you move to the next slide? So now we have already seen what is ICH GCP. That is the International Council. But as we are studying, as we are staying here in India, so now we are going to look at India's regulatory authority, which is called as CDSCO, and it stands for Central Drug Standard Control Organization. So it is the national regulatory body. So it is not international. So ये जो भी rules and regulations CDSCO बनाती है, that is for India, and Indian people do follow, Indian regulatory authorities do follow. And CDSCO ensure that every clinical trial conducted in the country follow ethical and scientific standards. Okay, just one more question I would like to ask. कि जब हमारे पास already international guidelines हैं, which are highly accepted globally, तो भी हमारे पास CDSCO क्यों है? Why do you think CDSCO is important for us, even though we are having ICHEC? Do you think it's just extra regulatory authority and उससे हमारा time waste होगा, या like why do you feel कि CDSCO की need है?
The location specific approval.
Sorry, Kritika, can you repeat?
For the location specific approval.
Yeah, perfect. Anybody else would like to contribute? Rajneesh, would you like to answer?
No, ma'am, I don't have any idea about it.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, Kritika was right. So we already have international council for all these clinical trials. But geographically, our country is very much different from other. एंड ऐसे ही इट्स नॉट जस्ट अबाउट आर कंट्री, बहुत सारी कंट्रीज होंगी जो जोग्राफिकली बहुत अलग है. लाइक ऑफ कोर्स, लाइक ये बोल सकते हैं कि जहाँ पे आउट लाइक फॉरेन कंट्रीज में आप इतना जोग्राफिकल वेरिएशन नहीं देख सकते, आप इतना एथिकली रिस्ट्रिक्शंस नहीं देख सकते. लाइक योर इफ यू हैव टू टेक अ वुमेन पार्टिसिपेंट इनटू योर ट्रायल, यू हैव टू थिंक 100 times कि लाइक एथिकली ये सही है कि नहीं. If you're having some trials in the backward cities or rural areas there, so you cannot set up a proper uh, site as well, clinical trial site as well. You cannot do that. So we are lacking behind in some cases, and in some cases we are at the upper hand also. So because of that reason, like हमारे country की similarities plus geographical area plus variation in people's lifestyle, everything is so different from other countries. So for that reason, हर बार ये नहीं हो सकता कि जो international guidelines है वो हमारे लिए भी follow हो. So for that, of course, we have to follow those guidelines as well. But we are also having our local guidelines which are being given by CDSCO. It's the India's regulatory gateway, or we can say regulatory authorities. And this gives like special authority to us कि हम इंडिया की geographical area plus इंडिया के situation के हिसाब से हम अपने trials conduct कर सकें. So this gives a strict ethical, scientific standard, safe environment for both innovation as well as patient care. But that totally depends on how our country works. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Okay, so till now we have discussed a lot about clinical trial, and आपको उससे अंदाजा लग ही गया होगा कि this is not a cup of like a single person's cup of tea. So clinical trial is a team effort involving several key stakeholders and each with a specific responsibility. So first is sponsor, the person who funds and like who initiate the trial, while the clinical team conducts the trial at the study site. Then we have study participants. So they are the patient or the volunteers or healthy participant who take part in the trial. Then we have CROs, so contract research organization or clinical research organizations. So what they are a team of members which sponsor hires. So it's like the sponsor पूरे time आपके like if sponsor is funding the whole trial, तो उसके पास एक team होनी चाहिए who keep an eye, who monitor the whole study. For that, if he cannot come by himself, so he appoint a whole organization of 10 to 20, like however many members he require. For that, he'll hire them, and वो लोग sponsor के behalf पे पूरे trial site पे नजर रखेंगे, and they will monitor the whole trial site. Then we have regulatory authorities, so they are very important. We already know that regulatory authorities will give approval, they will see everything is running fine or not, and सारी data को वो study करते हैं, they give the approval for your drug, as well as for the trials. Like आपके trials होंगे या नहीं, for that the regulatory authorities only give approval, like FDA, CDSCO, EMA, and everything. Then we have clinical teams. So clinical team we can consider everyone. So like our doctors, our nurses, our vendors, जो हम plus हमारी pathology labs, manufacturers, everything will come under clinical teams. So they are also very important part. Then we have IRB and IOC, which is called as ethics committee. So ethics committee are someone जो उसका स्पॉन्सर से पूरे ट्रायल से कोई कनेक्शन नहीं होता है. दे आर डायरेक्टली हायर्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट एंड दे मेक श्योर कि पूरा जो ट्रायल है वो एथिकली कंडक्ट हो रहा है या नहीं, वो मॉरली करेक्ट है या नहीं. सो ऑफ कोर्स दे विल आल्सो बी हैविंग सम रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन व्हिच दे हैव टू फॉलो. एंड आफ्टर दैट so it's like they take care of patients. So आप कोई भी ट्रायल कर रहे हो, you have to take approval from ethics committee as well कि हम ये ट्रायल कर रहे हैं, इतने पार्टिसिपेंट होने वाले हैं, ये हमारा साइड इफेक्ट है, ये हमारा इफेक्टिवनेस है. And when the IRB and IC, like Institutional Review Board and Independent Ethics Committee is the full form, and when they feel okay, हाँ okay, पेशेंट को इसमें कोई हार्म नहीं है, उसको बेनिफिट ही होगा, so they give approval. And अगर आपके पास regulatory authorities का approval है, but the IRB and IEC is not giving approval, you cannot start your clinical trial. You cannot move forward. So it's very important that you get the permission from ethics committee as well. And they are, as I said, they are not any much relationship with the sponsor or the clinical trial. So they give their independent opinion, independent approval. And if they feel patients are safe and study should be conducted, they give approval. Otherwise, they don't. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Okay. So this is the slide which I would like you guys to pay attention a bit more. So we are studying clinical research, but what exactly do we have in clinical research for us? So clinical research offers a wide range of career opportunities for students from life science, pharmacy, nursing, anything related to science field. And some of the most common roles in the clinical research is CRC, which is Clinical Research Coordinator, who manages studies at the hospital or at site. So this is like very good position to be hired at. Then the clinical trial assistant. So this is the person who supports trial documentation, administration, back-end kind of a thing. Then comes the clinical research associate, which is a person who monitor clinical trial to ensure they follow all the GCP, ICA GCP, CDSCO guidelines, if they are following or not. That roles come to the clinical research associate. Then other important role are pharmacovigilance associate, drug safety associate, clinical data coordinator. Coordinator is someone who coordinates, like as we know, कि एक ही time पे trial conducts at different cities, hospitals, or globally. So there would be one coordinator from each site which will coordinate the data, and he'll make sure कि सारी जगह पे same चीजें follow हो रही है नहीं. Then we have clinical data analyst. So anyone from the bioinformatics or a mathematical science, mathematical background, they can apply into clinical data analyst. This is also very good, high-paying job, I would say, as a clinical data analyst. So according or depending on your interest, you can choose a career in operations or monitoring, safety, data management, or data analysis within the clinical research industry. So that totally depends upon your interest as well as your knowledge. And how do you see yourself within 5 years or in upcoming years? That totally depends what exactly you are going to look forward out of this. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, so now we have already seen what and all job roles are there. But I myself have seen a huge thrive in global industry in clinical trials. Like with the numbers also you can see 59 billion as of 2024 global clinical trial market is valued at around $59 billion. And this is like such a big scale, like very enormous scale. In India also, the market is expected to reach approximately 3.37 billion by the year 2030. And if we talk about the growth percentage, so compound annual growth rate of India has been projected to 8.8%. So this means the industry is expected to grow by an average of 8.8% every year. So this is like a big number. 8.8% every year is a huge number. So with what we have covered, the fundamentals of clinical research from drug development and regulation to the exciting career opportunities in this field, and we have also seen how big the market is currently. एंड लाइक यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड लाइक अगर ये अभी का 2024 के हिसाब से 59 बिलियन अगर मार्केट वैल्यू है, सो यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड एवरी ईयर बहुत सारे जॉब रोल्स ओपन होते हैं, बहुत सारी जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज ओपन होती हैं बिकॉज द मार्केट ग्रोथ इज ह्यूज। एंड एंड अब ऐसा टाइम आ गया दैट वी आर falling short of people and jobs are more and we are short of people. So this is the current growth of clinical research in India as well. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Yeah. So yeah, till now अगर हम clinical trial के बारे में सोचते थे तो it was just that there are number of patients in a hospital and हम उनको दवाई दे रहे हैं and then we are studying their side effects and the efficacy. But now, due to this new trends and everything, some modern trends have been innovated in the clinical trials. The first is decentralized trial, so where patient can participate from home using telemedicine, mobile app, wearable devices, making trial more convenient and accessible. So this is like कि अब आपको भागना नहीं है लोगों के पीछे, आपको जगह बड़ी बड़ी जगह नहीं ढूंढनी है. Trends are so modern now in clinical trial that people are sitting at home and they are participating in the trial. Then AI in discovery. So AI is playing a very important part and advancement in artificial intelligence, which helps researcher identifying promising drug candidate faster. They reduce the time, cost, everything of the drug discovery. So in short, जो पहले जो clinical trials 10 साल 20 साल में खत्म होते थे, the time span has decreased. एंड अगर वो 10-20 साल ले भी रहे हैं तो दे आर डूइंग मल्टीपल थिंग्स इन दैट सिंगल ट्रायल बिकॉज ऑफ एआई. सो इट्स लाइक अगर पहले के साल में एक साल में 10 जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज आती थी, बट अब ऐसा हो गया है कि एक साल में अब आपकी वो डबल हो गई क्योंकि अब सब चीज फास्टर हो गई है बिकॉज ऑफ एआई. सो दिस इज द मॉडर्न ट्रेंड इन क्लिनिकल रिसर्च. And if you are also talking about vaccines, so finally the success of mRNA vaccines during the COVID-19 pandemic, they have demonstrated that the right technology as well as the collaboration, how they can work together and how faster things can go without even compromising the safety and the quality. So all these innovations are shaping the future of clinical research. So as future professionals, staying updated with these trends will be just as important as understanding the fundamentals of clinical research. So it's like just आप book पढ़ के या terms पढ़ के नहीं हो सकता, आपको जो modern trends है उससे भी पूरा brought up होना चाहिए सारे trends से. Can we move to the next slide? So this is the biggest challenge faced by the fresher graduates entering the clinical research industry. So it's like university education give you strong academic foundation. ठीक है, उस पर कोई डाउट नहीं, आपको बहुत नॉलेज मिलती है. You learn subject like pharmacology, anatomy, physiology, drug development, and everything. However, companies require more nowadays, like more than something theoretical knowledge. And this real gap is the practical exposure. Like many students who have graduated but they have never seen the like how does a protocol look like. These are the trial documents, clinical trial documents. Protocol कैसा दिखता है नहीं पता. Informed consent form they don't know. How our case report forms, how our trial master files. They know the concept, of course. उन्हें सिखाया गया है तो they know the concept, but they haven't applied them in a real world setting. So this is why industry focused training is so valuable. So it bridges the gap between the classroom learning and the workplace expectations, making you like a job ready for organizations like IQVIA, Pfizer, Parexel, Icon, Synos. There are so many companies which welcomes the individual with the knowledge as well as little bit of exposure. Like आपको थोड़ा तो industry exposure होना चाहिए. If you are bringing a document in front of you and you are like मुझे पता नहीं ये क्या है, so they'll be like okay. But अगर वो बोलेंगे कि okay this is protocol, you in your head you know everything, but you do not know how does it look. You would not be able to identify which one is protocol and which one is what. So knowledge gets you the degree, but practical skills are very much required and industry exposure are very much required to build you a successful career. So this is very important. Can we move to the next slide? Okay. So in this slide, I would like to tell you how this course can help you to build a successful career in clinical research. So first thing, which is very much important for you guys, for if you are entering into the industry. So first is hands-on. So you do not require just theory. You need to have some real clinical trial documents, exposures such as protocol informed consent and whatever we discussed in the previous slide. Databases, clinical databases also now people are getting trained to. So that is also very important कि आप सब documents कर लोगे लेकिन people are actually working on what? They are working on database लेकिन आपके पास database की कोई knowledge नहीं है. आपको बस बता देते कि okay Oracle is something and उस पे आप काम करोगे. कैसे काम करोगे आपको नहीं पता. ये आपको वहीं जाके पता चलेगा. So of course they would not give you that much preference. So if you join some classes or you join such classes which give you such exposure, so this gives you practical exposure that companies expect from a fresher also sometime. And second is knowledge of GCP and regulatory guidelines. So that is तो आप कितना भी ट्रेंड आ जाए कितना भी मॉडर्न ट्रेंड आ जाए यू कैन नॉट स्किप दिस पार्ट. आपको आईसीए जीसीपी रेगुलेटरी गाइडलाइंस इन सब चीजों के बारे में पता होना चाहिए. कैसे हर चीज काम करती है कौन सी जगह पे क्या काम आता है. Then third is, of course, आपके पास सारी चीजें हैं, but you are not having someone who can support you in your placement. So for that, you should have someone who has direct connection to top CROs and pharma companies in India, so that आप अपना सारा फोकस अपनी पढ़ाई पे रखो, सारी लाइक ट्रेंड्स के साथ अप थ्रू होने में रखो एंड सारी चीजों की ट्रेनिंग लेने में रखो. आपको ये चीज की फिक्र नहीं होनी चाहिए कि यार मेरा तो कोई कनेक्शन नहीं है, आई डू नॉट नो पीपल इन इंडस्ट्री. यू शुड हैव समवन गाइडिंग यू अबव यू दैट दे विल से ओके आप पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दो, योर प्लेसमेंट वी विल. सो such thing you require for getting into the industrial exposure. So if you are very much serious about building your career in clinical research, you should definitely focus on these things. Have good academic learning, have industry exposure, and we would happy if you join us. Thank you for listening. I think I have completed my slide. I would like to hand over my part to Ms. Monica for taking further the pharmacovigilance part. And whatever doubts you guys are having, that we are going to answer at the end of the session. So please be connected. Thank you so much, guys, for listening.
Thank you so much, Sukriti ma'am, for the wonderful session and information. Now we will move forward with the pharmacovigilance part, which will covered by Monica ma'am. So I would request Monica ma'am to continue with this session. Over to you, Monica ma'am. I'm just sharing my screen, and then you can continue with the session.
Yeah, thank you, Tushar. Hi, everyone. Hello, welcome to the session. So, like Sukriti just mentioned that, why clinical trials are important, why you have to learn more about, clinical trials. So I'll be covering pharmacovigilance part. So, any idea what is pharmacovigilance? Any rough idea? Anyone? You must have been looking around for jobs, coming into industry. You must be looking about, roles, open roles, drug safety associate roles, medical writing roles. So this is what is pharmacovigilance. Yeah, Kritika, go ahead.
The pharmacovigilance is basically monitoring the adverse event, assess the adverse event.
So, exactly, this is right. Pharmacovigilance is, detection of adverse events. But why do we need a pharmacovigilance? See, we've already, like Sukriti we've already discussed that the adverse events in general population is done in phase 4, post-marketing, right? It is already done, right? We've already reported the adverse events. Why there is a need of pharmacovigilance? Why do we need a pharmacovigilance? Why there is so much of, companies are investing so much in PV? Say, I'll just give you an example. Everybody drives. सब लोग drive करते हैं. You have your driving license, correct? I'll just give you an example with that. So for a driving license, you apply for a learner's license. You go for a test, driving test, and then you get a permanent license. Is your permanent license a permanent forever? No, right? You will be assigned a license for a specific period, correct? Right? For 10 years, about for 15 years or 10 years. Then you have to again go and get the license renewed, correct? So this is how the drug is in a preclinical stage. You got your learner's license, then you drug is into the market, then you get your permanent driving license. But still, after getting a permanent driving license, you still need to be monitored. If you have 3 challans, your driving license is suspended for some time, correct? Similarly, drug is in the market. If there are serious adverse events, then that it has to be reported to health authority so that the serious actions can be taken. And for example, now I'll just give you an example. For example, I am 50 years old and Rajneesh is 25 years old, right? We both apply for a driving license at the same time, but Rajneesh is given a driving license for 15 years, for the period of 15 years, I mean, from 2026 to 2040 approximately. And I have been assigned, or I have been given a driving license for 2030. So why there is a discrepancy? We have cleared our driving test. We've cleared all the documentations, but I have been assigned a driving license for 5 years, but Rajneesh has been assigned for 15 years. Why? This is not related to your drugs or your clinical trials, just a common curiosity. Why I have been given for 5 years and why Rajneesh has been given for 15 years? Just common, because everybody drives these days, two-wheeler, four-wheeler. Why there is a gap? Why there is discrepancy? Any idea? क्यों? मुझे क्यों 5 साल का मिला है? सोचो. This is a very common question, not related to drug. Because I am 50 years old, I may be having a कोई medical condition, मेरी eyesight weak हो सकती है, than related to Rajneesh. Rajneesh is a young guy, उसको कोई medical problems इतनी नहीं है ना. So that is why मेरी medical conditions आने वाले 5 साल में और deteriorate हो सकती हैं. हाँ, मुझे कोई हार्ट प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, मे बी आई एम नॉट एबल टू ड्राइव प्रॉपरली, मे बी मेरी आई साइट जल्दी वीक हो सकती है, मे बी आई एम नॉट, है ना, आई एम नॉट सेफ टू द पब्लिक where I am driving, right? जबकि रजनी सिमिलरली सच ड्रग्स, जो हम ड्रग्स मार्केट में ऑलरेडी प्रेजेंट हैं, they are few drugs, they require a regulatory authority approval or renewal in 5 years, and some drugs which are not that, studies have been conducted, regularly monitored, and they do not require such vigorous renewals from the regulatory authority. That is the only reason. This is how I just wanted to understand the basic concept of why pharmacovigilance is there, why we've already studied that it's in phase 4 post marketing. It is there. We are studying about the safety data, and plan reporting the regulatory authorities that yes, we have seen adverse event, and there are benefit risk evaluations also. But yes, this is a pharmacovigilance is after the drug is in the market. Like I said, after you have been assigned a driving license, after that, still a monitoring is there. That's not the correct way, ना. You've got the driving license, आप कहीं भी चलाते रहो गाड़ी, चाहे pavement पे चढ़ा दो गाड़ी, ऐसा तो नहीं होता है ना. Still some monitoring is there. Similarly, drugs may be, still monitoring is required to understand if there are upcoming or the adverse events which are not being as reported during the clinical trials. That is why they are into the done. So next slide. So today we are going to understand why pharmacovigilance, what are the three pillars of pharmacovigilance, and why AI is important in pharmacovigilance. So pharmacovigilance is, there are three pillars, and so we've already studied that we are going to report the cases, we are going to report the adverse events to health authorities, but how? How we are going to do? That's not the correct way that one day, one morning, I will get up and I will just see that there are adverse events and I will report it to health authority. No, there are certain protocols which needs to be followed. How we are going to, report the health authorities, right? So there are three pillars in pharmacovigilance. One is ICSR, that is individual case safety report. Second is medical writing in PV, which is, say turning the safety data into the regulatory document so that there is a compiled report which is submitted to a health authority. And then there is a third signal is a signal detection where you need risks which are hidden in the data so that we can find that and report to the health authority. And lastly, we will study about, we will come a basic understanding how AI is going to impact pharmacovigilance. There is a lot of hush hush in on social media that AI sabki jobs kha jayega. That's not the correct way. AI is going to help us in integrating the data, so that we can actually report the exact figures to regulatory authorities. So there are no human errors. So that is how AI is going to help us in pharmacovigilance. So pharmacovigilance is how we are going to report the adverse events. So next slide, please. So, pharmacovigilance, like Kritika explained, it is a science and activities which is related to detection first, then assessment and understanding and prevention of adverse events or any other medicine related problem. So, I'll just ask, आप लोग medicine खरीदते हो, you have that एक leaflet होता है medicine में. Have you ever gone through that medicine, that leaflet which is in the medicine? आप कोई बॉटल या कोई ट्यूब या कोई ऐसे ऑइंटमेंट लेके आते हो, उसके अंदर एक लीफलेट होता है. कभी पढ़ा है आपने? आउट ऑफ क्यूरियोसिटी, हैव यू एवर गॉन थ्रू दैट? Any idea why it is there? Okay. So अगर if you have studied, आपने कभी उसको खोल के देखा होगा, for example, so उसमें बहुत सॉरी फॉर इंटरप्शन. सो उसमें बहुत सारी चीजें लिखी होती हैं, लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल वहां पर लिखा होता है, प्लीज डू नॉट ड्राइव आफ्टर हैविंग दिस मेडिसिन, या दिस मेडिसिन इज नॉट recommended for children under 15 years of age. This medicine should not be given to a lactating mother or a pregnant female. आप वो डेटा कहाँ से आया है? हैव यू एवर थॉट अबाउट इट कि ये कहाँ से इन्होंने डेटा कोलेक्ट किया है? So that data is collated from pharmacovigilance, जो ड्रग है हमारे क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स से, हमारे पीवी के डेटा से, जो उन्होंने इतने सालों में डेटा इकट्ठा किया, उसमें उन्होंने बेनिफिट रिस्क एवेलुएशन की कि क्या बेनिफिट्स ज्यादा है, रिस्क कम है, तो क्या वो ड्रग मार्केट हो सकती है, नहीं हो सकती. दैट इज हाउ फार्माकोविजिलेंस वर्क्स. One more example, I will just give you an example. Like, for example, we all of us know that after taking, chemotherapeutic agents, what is the most common adverse event of a chemotherapeutic agent? Any idea? What is the most common adverse event of a chemotherapeutic agent? Usually you see
Hair
hair
loss.
fall. Yes, exactly. So we know that after taking a chemotherapeutic agent, alopecia is there, right? Hair fall is there. So do we stop that drug? क्या हम उस ड्रग को रोक देते हैं? क्योंकि हमें पता है एलोपेशिया हो रहा है, हम उस ड्रग को स्टॉप कर देते हैं. सो इज इट राइट फॉर अस? रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज को हमने एडवर्स इवेंट रिपोर्ट कर दिया, एलोपेशिया इज देयर, सो शुड रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज स्टॉप दैट ड्रग? Umesh is saying no. Yes, correct, Umesh. We should not stop that drug. Why? Why that drug should not be stopped when alopecia is, reported? क्यों नहीं
मैम हेयर फॉल इज नॉट लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग साइड इफेक्ट्स है.
Exactly. That is how we come to know benefit risk evaluation. Benefits are more than the risks for that drug. So that is why we are not stopping that drug. We are not withdrawing that drug from the market because it is curing this life-threatening diseases. This is how pharmacovigilance works. So we'll go one by one. I just mentioned there are three pillars of pharmacovigilance. We'll get to know how we are going to report the adverse events to the regulatory authorities. Next slide, please. So ICSRs, like I said, ICSR, medical writing and signal detection. So what are ICSRs? ICSRs are, collect and report individual adverse event cases, right? And then second is medical writing. This medical writing is turning safety data into clear and compliant document. And third will be our signal detection. Signal detection is we are analyzing aggregate data to find new emerging risks. So these are the three pillars of day-to-day PV. So just now Sukriti just mentioned that, if you have to enter the industry, you have every knowledge because university, you have completed your college, you've completed your degrees, but you are not ready for your, to get into the company, to get into the market, you had to had a basic knowledge of databases. You had to had a basic knowledge of how we are going to, work in PV. So we are going to, today we are just going a brief introduction about PV, but there is an ocean of knowledge, ocean of things which we need to learn, which we need to understand. And by joining our courses, you'll be market ready to enter into any field, right? Any, maybe it is clinical trial, clinical research, pharmacovigilance. So let's study one by one about all these three pillars. So first is ICSRs. Next slide, please. So ICSR, name suggests it is individual case safety report. It is a structured report which describes an adverse event which is experienced by one patient after an exposure to medicine. So there are four. This is a very common question asked in interview. What are the four minimum criteria for a valid case? So you have received a case from an HCP. HCP is a individual reporter, identified reporter. HCP reports to you that I have come. HCP is your any doctor, any dentist, doctor, nurse, so a pharmacist is also HCP. So he usually in India what we does, हम जाते हैं, बुखार होता है, हम फार्मेसी पे जाते हैं और हम बोलते हैं हमें फीवर है, आप ये मेडिसिन दे दीजिए. फार्मेसी वाला हमें मेडिसिन दे देता है, हम वो मेडिसिन लेके ले लेते हैं. ठीक है, यूजुअली ऐसे होता है कि हम सोचते हैं छोटी मोटी मेडिसिन, छोटी मोटी बीमारी के लिए जाना ही क्यों है डॉक्टर के पास, हम सीधा चले जाते हैं. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट टाइम जब हम जाते हैं, हम उसको बोलते हैं डॉक्टर को, केमिस्ट को, फार्मेसी पे कि आपने जो ये मेडिसिन दी थी ना, इससे मुझे बहुत घबराहट हो रही है, मुझे नौसिया हो रहा है, आप प्लीज मेडिसिन चेंज कर दो. वो मेडिसिन चेंज कर देता है. ऐसे ही होता है. दिस इज हाउ थिंग्स गो इन इंडिया. right? But up now the responsibility of the pharmacist is that he knows कि आपने वो मेडिसिन ली थी, आपको वो नाउजिया हुआ, आपने उसको स्टॉप किया और आपको रिप्लेस किया गया किसी और मेडिसिन से, ठीक है? उसके बाद नेक्स्ट टाइम यूजुअली जो हमारे क्लोज मार्केट में होता है केमिस्ट, हम उसी के पास जाते हैं, राइट? सो अब फार्मासिस्ट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है कि वो जो भी उसके पास नियरेस्ट वो है उसको वो जाके एडवर्स इवेंट रिपोर्ट करे. सो वी हैव अ पेशेंट, आप हो, रिपोर्टर है एचसीपी, ड्रग है हमारे पास, इवेंट है. सो दीज आर द 4 मिनिमम क्राइटेरियाज वेयर वी कैन रिपोर्ट इंडिविजुअल केस सेफ्टी रिपोर्ट. ठीक. सो दीज रिपोर्ट्स कैन बी इंडिविजुअल सेफ्टी रिपोर्ट्स, जैसे आई जस्ट एक्सप्लेन कि फार्मासिस्ट कर सकता है, डॉक्टर कर सकता है, पेशेंट खुद कर सकता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इट इज अ वेरी कॉमन एडवर्स इवेंट, लाइक आई टेल यू अबाउट माई सेल्फ. कोल्ड और फीवर की बहुत कॉमन मेडिसिन है मेडलर. हैव यू एवर टेकन दैट मेडलर? किसी ने खाई है मेडलर? इट इज अ ट्रेड नेम, ठीक है? अब आई या आफ्टर हैविंग दैट मेडलर मुझे हार्ट पैल्पिटेशन होता है मुझे, ठीक. सो बट मेरी मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या बनती है? आई विल गो टू अ वेबसाइट जहां पर मैं उसको रिपोर्ट कर सकूं कि यस, मुझे आफ्टर टेकिंग दैट मेडलर दैट डजंट सूट मी. हम यूजली क्या करते हैं, हम रिपोर्ट नहीं करते हैं, हम बस मेडिसिन चेंज कर देते हैं, बट दैट्स नॉट करेक्ट. ठीक है, वी हैव टू रिपोर्ट दैट कि यस, मुझे हार्ट पैल्पिटेशन होता है. सो आई विल गो टू अ वेबसाइट, आई विल एंटर माई डिटेल्स कि आई हैव टेकन दिस मेडिसिन एंड दिस वाज एडवर्स इवेंट व्हिच इज रिपोर्टेड. ठीक है. अब these individual case safety reports, they come from your patient, doctor, pharmacist, even your clinical trials, your post marketing studies, your literature, your social media. Sometimes social media पे भी report होता है, right? Solicited sources like patient support and market research programs, right? So उन सब से ये सारा information collect करके जो CROs हैं, जो कंट्रैक्चुअल रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, दोज विच आर वर्किंग ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द कंपनीज, जो लोग मार्केटिंग ऑथराइजेशन होल्डर्स हैं, कंपनीज लाइक फाइजर, या जो ड्रग्स बना रही हैं बायोकॉन, है ना, वो लोग हमारे को पीवी वालों को हायर करते हैं इन कंट्रैक्चुअल रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वेयर वी वर्क ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ देम एंड वी रिपोर्ट केसेस, राइट? So this is how ICSR looks like. So any questions till now? Any doubts? Because I know these are few new terminologies, few new topics which we are, touching them. So if any questions right now, we can hold the session and take the questions. Clear? So next slide. सो हाउ ICSR लाइफ साइकिल वर्क्स. अब पीवी में बहुत सारे लोग काम कर रहे हैं. सो दिस इज हाउ ICSR लाइफ साइकिल गोज. फर्स्ट इज इनटेक. आपके पास केस रिपोर्ट हुआ, मैंने उसको ट्रियाज किया. ट्रियाज में आई चेक द वैलिडिटी. अगर मेरे पास ये चारों पिलर्स जैसे पेशेंट, इवेंट, एडवर्स, है ना, अगर वो है, और उसके बाद आई विल रिपोर्ट. ट्रियाज करेंगे, उसके बाद डेटा एंट्री होगी. डेटा एंट्री विल बी as per the guidelines from MEDRA or WHO, right? And then causality assessment and expectedness will be checked, and quality check will be done, and then it will be reported to a health authority. So first of all, like if you see, this is a very wide range, right? And it will not be humanly possible to cover everything in one webinar. But if you join our sessions, join our course, then we will go one by one to each step, because each step has their own limitations, their own requirements. Like, for example, if you talk about causality, how causality is assessed. For example, I'll just give you an example. A patient is there, he is taking medicine for nausea, vomiting as well. He is taking medicine for chemotherapy as well. So after taking all those 3 or 4 medicines, he is reported a adverse event. So we have to check whether this event is related to our main drug, which is his chemotherapeutic agent, or the side drugs which has been given by the physician for acidity or nausea or vomiting. So that is how causality is assessed. Whether our drug has caused, the studied drug has caused that event, or other drugs are causing that event. So this is how medical review, causality assessment, and data entry is done on the databases. In our sessions, we are going to give you a hands-on on databases, how things work, why it is important to code a case as per the MEDRA time guidelines or WHO guidelines, because ultimately we are going to um, report the cases to a regulatory authorities or health authorities, and they have to be standardized, like Sukriti also discussed in a previous session, that we have to know ICSR narratives. We have PBRR. PBRR is Periodic Benefit Risk Evaluation Report. Then DSUR, Development Safety Update Reports for trials. Then risk management plans. We have signal evaluation reports. We have health authorities where we can report the cases. So like I just gave you an example. For example, we have 20 pregnant female and they have been given a drug, and 10 of them have reported the adverse event and 10 have not. So such data, 10 a collective data will be reported to health authority via your periodic benefit risk evaluation report or your PSUR, which is usually for a new drug, it is for 1 year. Every year you have to report you have to submit a periodic benefit risk evaluation report. And for a older drug which is already in the market, then it is 3 years and it is 5 years. So periodic benefit risk evaluation comes under, or your DSUR comes under, medical writing. So this medical writing is quite different from your medical coding in ICSR. So we have three, like I just mentioned, three pillars: ICSR, PSUR, medical writing, and your signal detections. So in DSUR also, these are development safety update reports, which are collated during the trials. So we have to report these cases as well. Literature is reviewed. The development safety, for example, like Sukriti mentioned, that trials, they go for 4 to 5 years. So in DSUR, during that period, report, in that trial phase 4 phase, that reports which are into the market or into the drug is in the market, then that development safety update reports are entered and reported to the regulatory authorities if they are not ICSRs, right? So next slide. So what makes PV writing effective? So why we cannot, why have you ever thought why we cannot, one fine day I will get up and everybody is aware of reporting the cases. Why we don't get up and report the case? Because we need a specific guidelines. Like I said, we are going to teach you here how seriousness is identified, how causality is identified. Maybe, um, like I just mentioned, alopecia. Alopecia is not reported in cases of chemotherapeutic agents because we already know that this is the one of the most common side effect. That is a listed side effect of a chemotherapeutic agent. So how do you know it is listed? So it is listed because we are we have made a compiled data. We have submitted a case report or a public periodic benefit report to health authority, and that is how we know that yes, in the previous year, these are the most common side effects which have been reported already. So that is how PV writing is more effective, and it is more compliant with the ICH guidelines, more compliant with the GVP modules, more compliant with the regulatory authorities. So it involves accuracy. It has to be accurate, the data which we are submitting to health authority. It has to be consistent. Terminology and coding, it should be aligned with all the case documents. Scientific judgment, like causality, seriousness, and effectiveness, it should be reasoned, right? It should not fall on, like, study medication is something else, chemotherapeutic and uh, uh, concomitant medications are given as well, and we are reporting cases related to concomitant, not the study medication. That is also not correct. So it has to be clear, the plain, unambiguous language a reviewer can act on quickly, so that you know that it is a serious case and it has to be reported within the 15-day timelines or 7-day timelines. So that timelines also we have a tight window. Have you ever heard that, there is uh, you must be having friends in PV industry or clinical trials industry. So आपने सुना होगा कि लोग कहते हैं यार बहुत काम है, आज तो केस ड्यू है, हाँ, timelines बहुत tight है. Why timelines are tight? Because if you have been assigned a coding of a case, of a serious case, then it has to be reported to regulatory authority within 7-day timeline, or or a 15-day timeline, or if it is a non-serious case, then it is a 90-day timeline. Even for medical writing, we have a deadline, 60-day report, we have 90-day report. So that is how we are going to, guide you so that you can enter the industry confidently, right? So we are going to give you hands-on experience on everything, so that you are confident when you join, when you go for your interviews, you go for your, mentoring training period, you are confident enough to handle things. You're not, you are aware of such terminologies, which we usually, use during our day-to-day life, right? So next slide, please. So what is a safety signal? This is the third pillar of our PV, ICSR, PBRAR, or medical writings, or then third is a safety signal. So signal, it is an information which suggested a new or changed possible causal relationship between a medicine and an adverse event, which is not been identified during phase 4 clinical trial, or during ICSR, or during PBRA reports. That is how it is, which has been missed. Then that is a third filter, so that we don't miss out anything and report it, signal event, safety signal to health authority. So it is not yet confirmed, but it requires a further investigation. So where these signals surface from, they come from spontaneous reports, scientific literatures, your clinical data, your real world data, your social and digital media. So these are the basis from where the safety signal is identified and then reported. So next slide, please. So how signals are found and they are managed? So first of all, like I said, these are such adverse events which are been, missed during our clinical trials, or which had not been identified during clinical trials, or ICSR or PBRARs. So that these are first detected, then they are validated, and then prioritized, and then assessed, and then it has been communicated, recommended, and communicated to a health authority. So these are detection methods are quantitative as well as qualitative. So in quantitative, we have disproportionately analysis, which is mining large case databases from statistical patterns, and qualitative, in qualitative, we have clinical review of individual cases, case series, and biological possibilities. So, what is the outcome of signals? So, if there is a validated signal, it may lead to label update, risk communication, additional studies, or really a market action. Once the signal has been identified, so what will be the next action? So what we can do, we can update the label. Like I said, you must have read that label up when you get that medicine. Next time, whenever you go and buy a medicine, please go through that label. That label is being updated once the signal is identified or people report says that yes, there is a new risk or new signal which has been identified. Then this risk is communicated to all the stakeholders. By stakeholders, I mean that your companies, your CROs, your pharmacists, your HCPs, doctors, everybody is aligned and communication is done. So it may require, if there is a serious signal which is identified, it may require additional studies, or rarely it may require a market action, which means withdrawal from the market. So have you given example which of a drug which has lately been withdrawn from the market? Any example? अभी lately कोई drug market से withdraw हुई है? नो, डोलो नहीं है.
Then there's a
Nimesulide?
syrup.
यस, निमोसिलाइड भी हुई है और आपकी रैंटडीन भी हुई है अभी. ठीक है. Nimesulide is also been withdrawn from the market, and Rantadine is also withdrawn. Have you ever thought why? आपने पढ़ा जाके क्यों हुई है? So Rantadine was, usually it is given for acidity, empty stomach, और इससे बहुत सारे causative agents जो इसके थे वो ड्रग कैंसर इफेक्ट्स, यस, बहुत सारे जो है कैंसर जो है रिपोर्ट हुए थे रैंटडीन से. So that is why it has been withdrawn. They have identified that there are certain particular मेडिसिन, जो उसका केमिकल फॉर्मूला है वो ऐसा है कि that is causing cancer in patients. So that is why it has been withdrawn from the market. So these are few questions which is usually asked in interviews. आप जब भी इंटरव्यू के लिए जाते हो, आपको बाहर सोशल मीडिया थोड़ा आपको नॉलेज होना चाहिए कि आजकल लेटली क्या चल रहा है मार्केट में, व्हाई इट इज डन, व्हाई इट वाज, जैसे just like I asked which drug was withdrawn from the market, why it was withdrawn from the market. So these are basic things so that you are confident enough to handle your or crack your interviews, right? So yeah, next slide, please. So next is why AI and why now? So you all must have heard that AI, artificial intelligence, and you must have been using AI in your day-to-day life. I hope everybody is using. कोई database बताओ, कुछ बताओ जो आप use कर रहे हो. Most commonly used app, artificial intelligence. All of you as Gen Z सब use कर रहे हैं.
ChatGPT, Claude.
Okay, ChatGPT, Claude, any और कोई? Gemini, correct. See, yes. हाँ, so
Perplexity.
yes. So आपको लगता है कि वो easy हो गया है काम? जैसे क्लॉड में आपको प्रेजेंटेशन बनानी है आपको, या आपको अपना सीवी अपडेट करना है. सो पहले आप मैनुअली कर रहे थे, राइट? अब आपका काम सारा जो है वो एआई कर रहा है, करेक्ट? सो सिमिलरली इन फार्माकोविजिलेंस आल्सो एआई इज गोइंग टू हेल्प अस. व्हाई? Because there are rising case volumes, like I said, like Sukriti also mentioned कि there is a budget of 8.8 million. भी हम लोग ग्रो करने वाले हैं इस बार का. अगर आप बजट देखते हो तो इंडिया में भी बजट इतना सारा असाइन हुआ है टू फॉर हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट के लिए, और उसके लिए वो इसीलिए हुआ है सो दैट हम जो क्लिनिकल रिसर्च है, और ये सबसे ज्यादा हुआ है, बूम हुआ है आफ्टर कोविड, बिकॉज कोविड में बहुत जल्दी जल्दी वैक्सीनेशन जो है हमको बनानी पड़ी, वी वर नॉट रेडी फॉर दैट, एंड क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स जल्दी जल्दी से हो गए। जो क्लिनिकल ट्रायल को 5 to 6 years लेने थे, वो क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स और ड्रग मार्केट में कोविड वैक्सीन को मार्केट में लाने के लिए हमने जल्दी जल्दी 1.5 year में उसको कंप्लीट कर दिया, राइट। सो उसके बाद से जो गवर्नमेंट्स हैं, जो रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज हैं, दे हैव कम इनटू एक्शन एंड दे वांट कि जो सब चीजें हैं फास्टर हो जाएं, इजीली हो जाएं, सब काम मैनुअली ना हो, कुछ काम एआई कर दे, कुछ हमारे लिए इजी हो जाए। सो दैट इज हाउ एआई एआई हमारी जॉब नहीं लेगा। यूजुअली लोग डरते हैं कि एआई के आने से जॉब चली जाएगी, जॉब आपको और मिलेगी, बल्कि यू यू हैव टू बी रेडी। आपको उसमें नहीं रहना है कि हाँ हमको एआई यूज नहीं करना है, आपको यूज करना आना चाहिए, आपको बेटर स्किल्स सीखना है सो दैट यू आर रेडी फॉर द मार्केट। ठीक है, एआई इज इम्पॉर्टेंट इन पीवी। वाई? बिकॉज ड्यू टू योर राइजिंग केस वॉल्यूम्स, एडवर्स इवेंट्स जो है वो दिन ब दिन बढ़ रहे हैं, पीपल आर मोर अवेयर। आज की डेट में अगर हम डॉक्टर के पास भी जाते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल नी पेन के लिए भी अगर हम डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, सो हम पहले सारा कुछ, इवन अगर हम पहले हमारे पास टाइम नहीं है तो अगर हम वेटिंग एरिया में भी डॉक्टर के पास बैठे हैं, वी आर रीडिंग अबाउट दैट नी पेन ऑन चैट जीपीटी, या हम उस पे खोल के देख रहे हैं कि क्या क्या कॉजेज हो सकते हैं, सो दैट वी कैन आस्क क्वेश्चंस टू अ डॉक्टर। पेशेंट्स आर रेडी, आप ज्यादा तैयार हो विद एआई, राइट? एम आई करेक्ट? ऐसा होता है? यस, नो? यूजुअली हम जो क्वेश्चंस हैं, भी हम क्वेश्चंस पूछ के जाते हैं कि अच्छा ऐसे तो नहीं होगा, इसको खाने से ऐसे तो नहीं होगा। डॉक्टर आपको बोलता है कि अगर वो सजेस्ट कर रहा है कि कैल्शियम एंड आयरन, वो आपको बोलता है कैल्शियम और आयरन दोनों के बीच में 10 hours का मिनिमम गैप होना चाहिए, साथ में नहीं खानी है। सो आपको पता है कि क्यों नहीं खानी है, राइट? अगर नहीं पता है तो आप डॉक्टर से पूछते हो कि क्यों नहीं खानी है। अगर नहीं बताता है डॉक्टर, तो आप आके चैट जीपीटी को पूछते हो कि क्यों नहीं खानी है, right? So similarly, AI is going to help us in pharmacovigilance. यहाँ पर केस वॉल्यूम ज्यादा है, टैलेंट कंस्ट्रेन है, बहुत कम लोग हैं, मेडिकल राइटर्स तो बहुत ही कम है, हाँ, जो स्किल केस प्रोसेसेस हैं वो भी कम है। सो जल्दी काम करने के लिए और ज्यादा काम करने के लिए हमको एआई का हेल्प लेना पड़ता है। फास्टर रेगुलेटरी टाइमलाइंस हो गई हैं, टर्न अराउंड टाइम जो है वो काफी ज्यादा है, और दे नीड अ क्वालिटी एज वेल। ये नहीं कि जल्दी जल्दी कुछ भी सबमिट कर दिया रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटी को। क्वालिटी एंड कंप्लायंस आर ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ पीवी। ठीक है, दे अथॉरिटीज दे एक्सपेक्ट क्विकर टर्न अराउंड टाइम, और एक्सप्लोजन ऑफ अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड डेटा। आजकल सारी मैंने बताया, सोशल मीडिया पे, हेल्थ वेबसाइट्स पे, कॉल ट्रांसक्रिप्ट्स पे वी हैव सिग्नल्स जिनको हम आगे जल्दी लेके जाना चाहते हैं, सो दैट ड्रग के सारे ट्रायल्स भी टाइमली कंप्लीट हो जाएं, रिपोर्ट्स भी टाइमली कंप्लीट हो जाएं, एंड ड्रग इज सेफ एंड साउंड, एंड क्वालिटी, सेफ्टी, एफिकेसी, सारे पैरामीटर्स क्लियर करके इट इज इन द मार्केट। ठीक है, सो नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज। So, yes, AI across the 3 pillars, like I said, AI is going to help us. जैसे मैंने एग्जांपल दिया कि हम जाके, अगर हमारे पास टाइम नहीं है, हम वेटिंग एरिया में पढ़ लेते हैं उसके बारे में, डिजीज के बारे में, कि नी पेन है तो क्यों हो रही है, डॉक्टर क्या बोलेगा, एक्सरे करना पड़ेगा, हम वी आर ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर दैट, राइट? सिमिलरली आईसीएस सार्स में भी ऑटो एक्सट्रैक्शन होगी। जब मैनुअली डेटा एंट्री करते थे तो इट वुड टेक about 60 to 70 minutes to enter exact data into a database, but now it has become easier ना। डुप्लीकेट सर्चेस जल्दी लगेंगी, ऑटोमेटेड होगा मेड्रा कोडिंग और डब्ल्यूएचओ कोडिंग जो है, और ट्रियाज और सीरियसनेस क्लासिफिकेशन भी जो है वो आईसीएसआरस में इजीली हो जाएगी। सो लाइक आई सेड, अभी हम आपको थोड़ा सा जल्दी जल्दी लग रहा होगा, और थोड़ी चीजें सर के ऊपर से भी जा रही होंगी, आई एम श्योर, बिकॉज अभी वी हैव नॉट, इट इज जस्ट अ बेसिक ओवरव्यू ऑफ पीवी, कि पीवी में होता क्या है, पीवी में हम करते क्या है ना। So when you will join our sessions, you will have hands-on experience. आपको एक एक चीज पता चलेगी, एक एक टैब पता चलेगा. Then you will have a clear and better picture, right? सो मेडिकल राइटिंग में भी केस नैरेटिव्स जो है ऑटो जेनरेट हो जाएंगे. लिटरेचर की समराइजेशन भी इजी होगी. टेम्पलेट जो होगा वो भी एआई जेनरेटेड होगा. कंसिस्टेंट क्वालिटी चेक इजीली हो जाएगा सबमिशन से पहले. एक बार आपने प्रॉम्प्ट देना है उसको कि इसमें कोई भी एरर्स हैं. पहले आई रिमेम्बर व्हेन आई यूज्ड टू राइट अ नैरेटिव, वी आई यूज्ड टू रीड ईच एंड एवरी लाइन. अब नहीं है. अब ऐसा एआई जो है वो ही आपको सब कुछ ठीक करके देगा, ग्रामर ठीक करके देगा. एडवर्स इवेंट्स वाज रिपोर्टेड, वर रिपोर्टेड, इतनी छोटी छोटी चीजें भी जो हैं वो आपको ठीक करके देगा जब आप मेडिकल राइटिंग करोगे. ठीक है. सो एआई इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू. सो सिग्नल डिटेक्शन में भी इट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प अस. मशीन लर्निंग डिस्प्रोपोर्शनलिटी मॉडल्स होंगे, एनएलपी मॉडल्स होंगे, automated literature surveillance होगा. When I started my PV journey, I used to read a literature every day. 90 articles, 90 abstracts I used to read manually. It is a long back in 2011, but now it is automated. Everything is, literature. I just have to put it into the database and ask to extract the safety data from that literature. लिटरेचर में तो बहुत सारी चीजें होती है ना. इतने लोग आए, इतने गए, क्या उसके साथ, क्या उसका बेस था, स्कोप क्या था, ये था. वो सब पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. वी जस्ट हैव टू एंटर. टाइम बचेगा उससे. सिर्फ एक बेसिक स्पेसिफिक डेटा पढ़ना है और उसके बाद हमको अपनी रिपोर्ट प्रिपेयर करनी है. ठीक. प्रिडिक्टेड रिस्क प्रायोरिटाइजेशन स्कोरिंग होगा सिग्नल डिटेक्शन में. सो दिस इज हाउ एआई इज गोइंग टू हेल्प अस. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. सो यस, बेनिफिट्स भी हैं, चैलेंजेस भी हैं. लाइक आई सेड, फास्टर केस प्रोसेसिंग और रिपोर्ट टर्न अराउंड टाइम जल्दी होगा. कंसिस्टेंसी ज्यादा है और वॉल्यूम्स इंक्रीज हो रहे हैं. इफेक्टिव होगा. बट चैलेंजेस भी हैं. ऐसा वी कैन नॉट से कि हम सब कुछ एआई पे छोड़ दें, वो ही सब कुछ कर लेगा. हमको मेडिकल जजमेंट, ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन की जरूरत पड़ेगी. वी हैव टू चेक कि हमने वो जो डेटा, एक्चुअली जब आप रिपोर्ट सबमिट करने जाओगे तो आप पहले चेक करोगे उसको कि क्या उसमें कोई गैप्स तो नहीं है, कि रेगुलेटरी एक्सेप्टेंस है, क्या वो उसके उसमें कंप्लायंट विद द रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटी के रेगुलेशन से है कि नहीं है. सो दैट इज हाउ challenges are also there. But yes, human intervention will also always be important. That सब कुछ एआई नहीं कर सकता है. ठीक है. आपकी मेडिकल जजमेंट, आपकी ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन, ओवरसाइट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. राइट. सो नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. So this is how pharmacovigilance is simplified, and like we just mentioned and covered everything. Once you are enrolled with us, we will go step by step and in detail about each and every pillar of PV. So this, the goal is to get a faster and more consistent safety monitoring. Right. So that's all for pharmacovigilance. You have any questions regarding to PV or clinical research, please feel free to ask. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you so much, Monica ma'am, for the such a great informative session. I think there are some questions from the student. Can you please answer this?
Yes, sure.
Ma'am, how many of year experience do you have?
So if you talk about me, I have 14 years of experience in PV. A job role slide. So Tushar, can you share a clinical research job role slide?
Yes, I'm just sharing the slide. Maybe. This one slide, no? Sukriti ma'am, can you please repeat this slide as
Yeah.
yes.
So Nehal, you want me to repeat the slide or you have any specific question regarding this?
No, I'm not having any questions. I just joined late, so I just want a brief, not brief, in short review of this clinical research job. Can you please explain?
Yeah, sure. So, if you are building a career in clinical research, so there are about, this is just, we can say a topmost positions we see, but still there are many more roles into clinical research, but these are the roles which we focus more. First is CRC, so who manage the study at the hospital or the site themselves. Then the clinical trial assistant who support all the trial documentation part, administration part, like a back end kind of a thing. Then we have clinical research associate. So they are the person who monitors the clinical trial to ensure that all of the people who are in the trial, they are following the rules, guidelines given by ICH, JCP or CDSCO or whatever they have to follow all those guidelines. Other important roles include pharmacovigilance associates. They are totally related to pharmacovigilance, drug safety like QA, QC part. Then we have clinical data coordinator. So, as we have already discussed that one trial at a time can be running over multiple places, countries, states, or hospitals as well. So there would be someone who can coordinate the data in between. So every site has their own clinical data coordinator. They coordinate the data between the team so that nothing is being missed. And we also have clinical data analyst. So they are the um, they are from the bioinformatics or mathematical background who analyze the data and they are into the data management team. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, is there anyone who have any question? Then you can feel free to ask.
Ma'am, can you explain in detail about drug safety associate?
About?
Drug safety associate job role.
Yeah, so a drug safety associate job role, it comes under PV, pharmacovigilance. So it is a drug safety associate. He or she will be handling cases in ICSR or depending upon the client requirement, or he or she can be into a medical writer also. So drug safety associate, see, when you join an organization, you are a drug safety associate. You will be handling ICSRs, you will be in triage also, you will be in data entry also. So after 1 or 2 years of experience, you will be promoted to drug safety specialist role. So in drug safety associate, you basically understand the life cycle of your ICSR. You can be in QC also, quality check also. So there are steps in ICSR life cycle. You can be in medical, data entry, triage, or quality check. Not in medical review. Medical review is only handled by a physician, MBBS doctor. So a medical review part will not be handled by a drug safety associate. So drug safety associate will be handling ICSRs only. Yes. So
Thank you, ma'am.
any doubt about it?
Just want to know the name of this person who want to know about the freelancing role in the like. Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question so I can like pronounce your name?
So my name is. I'm
Yes.
asking the question. Can we do any freelancing related to this?
Yes,
Any
in
other-
clinical research and pharmacovigilance, there are lots of
Mm.
freelancing role available. Basically, the case processing roles are there. Also, the aggregate reporting roles are there. Basically, the report you need to prepare in as a freelance, which is basically RMPs, PSUR, PBR, Federal, or lots of like freelancing roles are there. Also in medical writing there are lots of freelancing opportunities are there. Also you can do like ICSR for the clients, and in clinical research as well there are freelancing roles available to managing the clinical trial datas and all those things. So you can do freelancing roles if you have the skills.
Any of the companies, sir? Any suggestions?
See, basically for freelancing, there are no companies who will hiring you. The freelancing portals are there, basically Fiverr, freelancing.com. Those are the portal where you will get freelancing roles for the domains.
Okay,
And the companies hiring for the full-time basis, which is like there are lots of companies available as of now, which is basically IQVIA, Paraxel, Cognizant, Fortria, TCS, and so on. They are hiring for those kind of roles in clinical research and pharmacovigilance roles, which include clinical trial assistant, clinical research associate, clinical research coordinator, pharmacovigilance associate, drug safety associate, CDM coordinator, CDM associate, CDM analyst. There are lots of opportunities are there in market in clinical research and pharmacovigilance. And as like Sukriti ma'am mentioned, the market is growing very fastly. So there are day by day there are lots of opportunities come in market, but the student will not aware about those opportunities because they
Yes.
don't have that much skills, and then do not aware about the what skills are required to get in the clinical research and pharmacovigilance. Yes.
Sir, can we go to directly website and we can check, sir? Or how?
Yes, you can directly go to the website and you will check. There are lots of freelancing opportunities as well. Also, if you want to see, then I can show you how can you like check the
Yes, sir.
freelancing
Sure.
opportunities in there. Okay,
You can.
just allow me a minute. I'm just sharing my resharing my screen, then you will get.
Yes.
Since my screen is visible to you. Just a minute. This is my screen is visible to you.
Yes, sir. Now it's right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is the basically some freelancing role you can like get here the freelancing services. You can like provide the freelancing services from here. So those will be the charges for the freelancing services. There are lots of options is available in clinical research and pharmacovigilance. So basically this is for the medical writing. Okay. So you will like you can go on the Fiverr website and you can check the freelancing role here. Also there are there are some more websites are there. Basically freelancing.com is there also, so you can go, but yes, they want experienced candidate only. Okay, because as you go as a freelancer, so they like the client want actually the experienced candidate only. So
Freshers are not
basically,
applied.
yes. See, basically, if you go as a like if you want to work as a freelancer, so the client like the client expectation is that you know everything about the industry and the job role. Okay, because the those document directly deals with the regulatory authorities. So client need to submit those document directly to the regulatory authorities, and if there will any discrepancy found, so client will get the fine for like the fine or the penalties for these discrepancies. Okay. Also, I'm just showing like if you anyone like to enroll in our advanced certification course in clinical research and pharmacovigilance, then I will show you how you can apply for this course. You can simply search the Clean Idea Education. So this is the website. I'm just paste the link. Sorry, I'm like just a minute. I'm just resharing my screen. So this is the basically the URL of our website. You can just go there, and when you scroll down, so this is the clinical research and pharmacovigilance course, which will starting from the 2nd of August. Okay, so you can join this course. So the course duration is 6 months, and the fees for the course is 15,000 rupees. And those are the detail explanation related the course, what we cover in this whole course. So basically, this course is 6 month advanced certification course in clinical research and pharmacovigilance. This is a basically online training program. Okay, so in this course, you will get to get three certifications after completing this course. Okay, one is for course completion certificate, GCP certificate, and one of the last certificate is 6 month internship certificate. Also, we cover the CV building, and we provide you 100% assure placement support, which including we provide you like the mock interviews are there, also the CV preparation classes are there, and everything which is required in an industry you need to go like we will cover those all these topics. Okay, so this is basically our website. You will get 3 month database access as well, like which basically Monica ma'am mentioned that database are there in pharmacovigilance, so you will get 3 month of database access. Also, you will get 3 month EDC system access. So total 6 month software trainings are there. Also, our curriculum include those things. Those are like shown there. Soft skills are there also. So you need to just go like below, and you can just inquire now. If you have any doubt, you can just click on inquiry button and raise your inquiry, ask your question. Our team will connect with you soon, and like they clarify your doubts. Also, if you want to register for this course, so registration fees is 10,000 rupees, and you can pay this fees in two installment as well. Like the total fees, which is the basically the course fees, which is 15,000. So you can just pay 10,000 at the time of registration and 14,000 after the registration. Okay, so you can just fill your information and click on proceed to pay, and you can register for this course. And if you choose two installment option, then you need to pay like the remaining fees in two installment, which is 20,000 installment. Okay, and if you want to go with one installment, then you can directly go with one installment, which is 40,000 after registration. Okay, so those are basically those are some last batch placement. You can just see this is our last like previous batch placement. They got lot like good packages in industries, and they are currently working in good industries. Oh, sorry, just a minute. I'm just stop sharing my screen. Yeah, so is there any other question?
There's a text in the chat box.
Yes. Can you please give your intro and Monica ma'am intro? So basically, this is Tushar. I am a pharmacovigilance professional. I am the founder of the Clean IT Education, and our office is located in Pune, Hinjawadi Phase 1, Deccan Apartment. And this course is basically online mode, so no need to go anywhere. You can directly join from the online mode as well. So, Monica ma'am, can you please introduce yourself as one of our student
Yeah.
want to?
So, yes, I'm Monica. I've done my bachelor's in dental surgery. I have 7 years of clinical experience as well as 14 years of PV experience. So, I was working earlier with the Quantum Solutions. Then I was working as a manager operations with Parexel International. So, yes, 14 years of experience in PV with basic starting with literature monitoring, ISISR handling and PBRR and KPI calculations of PBRR, DSURs, basically quality and compliance team I was working, and I was handling a team of about 20 associates. In
Have any other question or something? Okay, guys. So just one request, everyone. I'm just sharing one link in group. So you can just go there and just share your genuine review related to this webinar. And thank you for joining. We can conclude this session today.